One tweet, that's all it took. No warning. No context. Just a single line comparing Bruno Mars and BTS, and within minutes, the internet was on fire, thousands of replies. Fans choosing sides. Old clips resurfacing. Numbers, awards, performances, everything thrown into a war that was never supposed to happen. But here's the question no one is asking: why do two artists who have never had a problem with each other keep creating one of the most intense fan wars on Twitter? Because this isn't just about music anymore, this is about pride, identity, and a battle to prove who really owns the global stage. There's a moment that happens almost every time two massive fan bases collide online, a moment where it stops being about music and starts becoming something else entirely. And if you've been on Twitter, now X, you've probably seen it unfold in real time. One tweet. Just one. That's all it takes. A comparison, a subtle jab, maybe even a joke. And within minutes, thousands of replies flood in. Screenshots get shared. Old clips resurface. Narratives form. Lines are drawn. And suddenly, it's not just a conversation anymore, it's a full-blown war. This is exactly what keeps happening between fans of Bruno Mars and BTS. At first glance, it doesn't even make sense. These are two completely different artists, coming from different cultures, different industries, different styles. One built his legacy through timeless hits, live performances, and Grammy recognition. The other reshaped the global music industry with a level of fandom power the world had never seen before. They're not rivals in the traditional sense. They don't release diss tracks. They don't take shots at each other. In fact, there's no real conflict between them at all, and yet, their fans keep clashing. So what's really going on here? It usually starts quietly. Maybe someone tweets, Bruno Mars would outsing any idol live. It's not even directed at anyone specifically, but it doesn't matter. Within minutes, someone from the BTS fandom sees it, tweets it, and responds, outsing? BTS performs 3-hour stadium shows while singing and dancing. Be serious. And just like that, the spark is lit. Now the replies begin to stack. Someone brings up Spotify numbers. Someone else counters with Grammy wins. Another person posts a clip of a Bruno Mars live performance, showing flawless vocals. Then comes a BTS concert video with tens of thousands of fans singing along in unison. The conversation shifts. It's no longer about one tweet, it's about proving dominance, and here's where things get interesting, because both sides are technically right, but they're arguing using completely different definitions of success. For BTS fans, success is scale. It's numbers you can measure. Streaming records. Billboard rankings. Sold-out stadium tours across continents. It's the ability to mobilize millions of fans in minutes, to trend hashtags worldwide, to break records that didn't even exist before they came along. To them, this isn't just impressive, it's undeniable proof that BTS stands at the top of the global music world. But for Bruno Mars fans, success isn't just about numbers. It's about artistry, longevity, musicianship. It's about being able to step onto a stage with a live band and deliver a performance so tight, so polished, that it feels almost unreal. It's about writing songs that last for years, not just weeks. Songs that people still sing at weddings, parties, and late-night drives. Songs that don't need a fandom to keep them alive, they just exist in the culture. So when these two perspectives collide, they don't cancel each other out. They clash, because one side is saying, look at the impact right now, while the other is saying, look at the legacy over time. And neither side is willing to back down. As the thread grows, the tone starts to shift. What began as a debate slowly turns into something more aggressive. Sarcasm turns into insults. Facts turn into weapons. And then, inevitably, someone crosses the line. It might be a comment about visuals. It might be a jab at nationality. It might be an old controversy pulled out of context. Whatever it is, it changes the energy instantly. Now it's not just about defending an artist, it's about defending identity, pride, and community. because for many fans, this isn't just music anymore. It's personal. If you're part of the BTS fandom, you've likely seen how deeply connected fans feel to the group's journey. They've watched them rise from underdogs to global icons. They've supported them through criticism, through industry barriers, through moments where the world didn't take them seriously. So when someone downplays their success, it doesn't feel like an opinion, it feels like disrespect. And on the other side, Bruno Mars fans see an artist who has consistently delivered excellence without needing to constantly prove himself online. Someone who lets the music speak. Someone whose performances are often described as effortless, even though they're anything but. So when people reduce his success to just Grammys or old school music, it feels like they're missing the entire point, and that's where the real tension lies, not in who's better, but in what people value. As the argument spreads, more people join in. Some are genuinely trying to debate. Others are just there to provoke. Memes start circulating. Screenshots get taken out of context and reposted in new threads. Influencers pick it up. Suddenly, what started as a small exchange is trending, and here's the part most people don't realize. The algorithm loves this. Every reply, every quote tweet, every like, it all feeds the system. Controversy keeps people engaged. And engagement is exactly what the platform wants. So the more heated the argument gets, the more visible it becomes. It starts showing up on timelines of people who don't even follow either artist. Now outsiders are watching, some are confused. Some are entertained. Some pick a side just for fun. And the cycle continues. Hours pass. Maybe even days. Eventually, the noise starts to die down. People move on to the next topic. The hashtags fade. The threads stop growing. And just like that, it's over, until it happens again, because it always does. Maybe next time it's triggered by a new release. Maybe it's a chart update. Maybe it's a viral clip of someone reacting to a song. The details change, but the pattern stays the same. And if you step back and look at it from a distance, you start to see something fascinating. This isn't really about Bruno Mars versus BTS. It's about how modern fandom works. It's about how people form communities around artists, and how those communities develop their own values, their own language, their own sense of identity. It's about how music, something that's supposed to bring people together, can also become a source of division when it's tied to competition. But more than anything, it's about perception. Because if you only look at Twitter during these moments, it feels like the entire world is arguing. It feels intense, overwhelming, almost chaotic, but in reality, it's a small fraction of fans, the loudest ones, the ones who tweet the most, reply the fastest, and push the hardest. They shape the narrative, even though they don't represent everyone. Most fans aren't involved at all. They're listening to the music, watching performances, enjoying what they love without feeling the need to prove anything to anyone. And that's something worth remembering, because at the end of the day, Bruno Mars is still making music that resonates across generations. BTS is still redefining what global success looks like. Both are thriving. Both are respected. Both have achieved things that most artists can only dream of. The fan wars, they don't change that. They don't affect the music. They don't erase the achievements. They don't define the artists. They're just noise, loud, sometimes entertaining, sometimes exhausting, but ultimately temporary. And maybe that's the most important part of this whole story, because if you strip away the arguments, the numbers, the comparisons, what you're left with is something much simpler. People who care, people who are passionate enough about music to defend it, argue about it, and fight for it, even if it goes too far sometimes. And maybe, in a strange way, that passion is what keeps the industry alive, not the wars themselves, but the energy behind them. So the next time you see a tweet comparing artists, or a thread blowing up with arguments, take a second before jumping in. Ask yourself, is this really about proving who's better, or is it just another moment in a cycle that's been repeating itself for years? Because once you see the pattern, it becomes impossible to unsee it, and suddenly, the chaos doesn't feel so chaotic anymore. It just feels predictable, and maybe, just maybe, a little less important than it seemed at first.